The Atlanta Dream defeated the Los Angeles Sparks in its first game of the season, and the next Atlanta Dream beat writer Hunter Cruse is here to chat all about the team, including highlights from the win, how the offseason additions are expected to contribute, and what to look for in the next 39 regular season games. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and happy Friday. You are Locked On to Women's Basketball. I'm Natalie Heavren, and I'm a features writer and the Atlantic 10 beat reporter for The Next. Thanks for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Women's Basketball is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. LinkedIn Jobs help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. If this is your first time listening to Locked On Women's Basketball, welcome. We at The Next have over 100 reported pieces every single month, including 198 in March, more than 100 in April. We have a beat reporter on every single WNBA team, one on more than 15 different NCAA beats, so get that YouTube subscription up. And you can also support us by subscribing to The Next, $9 a month, $72 a year at thenexthoops.com. Today, we'll be talking all about the Atlanta Dream, including the team's win over the Los Angeles Sparks on Wednesday night, the contributions of the offseason addition so far, and what's expected in the future, and we'll also look ahead to the next 39 regular season games. Joining me today is Hunter Cruse, who you might recognize for your Saturday listening. He covers the Atlanta Dream and is a crucial part of our WNBA draft team at The Next. So, Hunter, starting off, what stood out to you the most from Wednesday's game against the Los Angeles Sparks?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So if you look at the box score, you're going to really see Tina Charles' impact on this game. She is the oldest player in Dream history to score 20 points in a game, and she did it in her first game. She's going to score a lot of buckets for Atlanta. And one thing Tanisha Wright talked about post-game was just how it opens up things offensively for Atlanta just by the threat of Tina Thompson on the court, or Tina Charles on the court, my bad. And what she does on her post-ups, how she's able to draw defenders over, draw help over, then kind of open up things for Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray. And it's so helpful for Atlanta's offense, though.
And, we were talking offline, and another name you mentioned that stood out to you was Haley Jones. I know she struggled at times last season, but came out yesterday and scored 14 points. If she continues playing like she did last night, what can she provide to the Dream?
Yeah, the thing for Haley right now is Atlanta doesn't have Jordan Canada. She's going to miss a little bit of time. The timeline is so unknown right now with Jordan Canada's hand injury. But with Haley, she's starting in that point guard role, 6 foot, good wingspan. The main issue for her last season, the issue in college, was shooting, and she shot the ball extremely well yesterday, 2 of 3 from 3. She also got to the rim a couple times in the third quarter, struggled at the beginning, but finished with 14 points and 4 assists. Atlanta's going to really need that offensively to have why Jordan Canada's not there.
And what are you expecting her role to be as the season continues and Jordan Canada hopefully returns sooner rather than later from her hand injury?
Yeah, I think the goal for Haley is to be that elite backup guard. Like, you have Jordan, you have Haley, but also the goal would be for Haley to be a comfortable catch-and-shoot threat. So, she got the size to go down the line, probably can play 2 through 4 if you can build that jumper up in her game. Because right now, it's hard for her to play off ball if she's just not making threes. They're not guarding her. So keeping the defense guessing and shooting more, I think, will really help open Atlanta's offense up more.
And I know you wrote this a few months ago, but I really wanted to draw attention to it and make sure our listeners checked out your story about how the Dream have focused on player development. Can you just expand on what benefits that philosophy has provided so far and what the Dream hope it will continue to provide in the future?
Yeah, so as you know, a lot of players go overseas in the offseason. So not many players like the NBA can stay in market, can work with the player development coach, the staff, and really come up with a plan for them to continue improving. So for Haley, along with Nia Coffey, they were the 2 players that stayed in Atlanta for most of the offseason. Nia was in Atlanta the entire offseason, but Haley was coming in and out. But she worked a lot with the player development coach and also just coordinating with Tanisha, being able to really develop her game so she could be prepared for this next season. She didn't go overseas, but she went to Athletes Unlimited, so I think Athletes Unlimited is not like my favorite context for players, but I like it for her from the standpoint that she just needed to get more aggressive, and she's really come in this season aggressive, so I think that's the main thing Atlanta's been focusing on, is just getting her to, be more confident and take those shots, so she's able to continue to improve her game.
Yeah, and so back to last night's game, you talked about it was one of the big topics we'll continue to talk about in the next segment. But, what does it say about her that, after not playing in the league last year, she came and scored more than 20 points in her first game back in the WNBA?
Yeah, it was impressive what she did offensively in terms of being able to score in the post, also working alongside Cheyenne Parker-Tyus. I'm a little bit concerned with that front court long term and how it works for the rest of the season, just from the standpoint that both really aren't the greatest of defenders. So I think offensively, you saw it, this Dream scored 92 points. If they can score points, I don't think it matters, but it's going to be really tough for them to, contend with these teams. Like LA has Cameron Brink, but she was in foul trouble a lot. Then they have De'Erica Hamby. They don't have many bigs, so Atlanta was able to get away with it by not having these elite rim protectors. But I'm a little bit concerned as the season goes on how that goes, but we'll see how it goes from there.
And kind of going off of that, what did you learn about the team in game one, without overreacting to anything you saw in just the first 40 minutes of basketball?
Yeah, the main thing I would say is, I don't know if it's learned, but Ryan Howard's like really, really good, and it would not surprise me if she's an all WNBA player this year, and there's a chance she's an all defensive team player in a couple of years. Like, that would probably be my overreaction. I think she's going to be at that level defensively. In terms of what she did, she had 2 steals and 2 blocks in yesterday's game, but she was also extremely active on defense in the preseason, so I think that's something Atlanta could look at. And then overall on the bench is a question mark for Atlanta. They have Aerial Powers, we'll probably talk about later. They have Naz Hillman, Nia Coffey, Letitia Mihir, Crystal Dangerfield. They were able to get enough production in terms of just, defending, being able to be in your spots, but getting more scoring off the bench will be huge as well.
And then, you've mentioned a couple players. Was there anyone else who stood out, or was there anyone you were hoping to see more of in that first game?
Yeah, in that first game, I was a little bit surprised Amihir only played 1 minute. I guess most of those minutes just went to Naz Hillman. So long term, it's a similar issue to last season where Amihir wasn't really in the rotation every day. So I'm interested to see if that was just a matchup thing for the first game, or if she's going to kind of be out of the rotation again this year.
And then again, not trying to bring up any overreactions. You mentioned the defense. Was there anything else that concerned you, or anything else that surprised you in a positive way?
I would say a thing that concerned me. I would just say overall, I think point guard play is going to be so huge. Another thing for me with the point guard play, it's a little bit, we get in the X and O's on Saturday pod, but one thing is advantage creation. With Atlanta not having Jordan Canada, they don't have a player that can put consistent pressure at the rim. How Atlanta gets pressure at the rim is through their post touches and then, drawing doubles out of that, rather than some teams, like Las Vegas. They're a team that puts pressure on teams through their paint touches, opening things up that way, wanting to get downhill with their guards, Jackie Young, whoever. So for Atlanta, I'm curious to see how that works for Atlanta in terms of, can Haley get to the rim more? So overall, I think it'll be huge for them to play with pace, get stops, get out in transition, to really take advantage of the defenses, of the other offensive team's mistakes, and then take advantage of teams for the mistakes.
Awesome. Well, coming up next, we'll talk about the contributions of the Dreams off-season additions and what you're hoping to see out of them long term. Again, not overreacting to just one game, and more.
Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many qualified candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Today's episode is brought to you by Apostrophe. I'm getting married this summer and I'm prioritizing my skincare to make sure I'm looking my best for my big day. With summer around the corner, it's a great time to get started with Apostrophe. Apostrophe is an online platform that connects you with an expert dermatology team to get you a customized acne treatment. Just fill out an online consultation about your skin goals and medical history, take a few selfies, and a dermatology provider will create a customized treatment plan for you. Apostrophe offers access to prescription treatments, both oral and topical medications, for all types of acne. Apostrophe is helping me reach my skincare goals of managing my adult acne. We have a special deal for our audience. Get your first visit for only $5 at apostrophe.com/lockedon when you use our code LOCKEDON. That's a savings of $15. This code is only available to our listeners. To get started, just go to apostrophe.com/lockedon and click Get Started. Then use our code LOCKEDON at sign up and you'll get your first visit for only $5. Thank you, Apostrophe, for sponsoring this episode.
Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV Channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. So we've talked about Tina Charles. What do you expect her impact to be across the entire season?
Yeah, I think Atlanta is going to lean on her a lot, not just offensively, but from a veteran standpoint. Atlanta's still a young team. They have Cheyenne Parker-Tyus or Alicia Gray who have experience, but they're not a super old team, so overall experience will be one huge thing. Another thing that I think will be important and what you can expect from Tina this year is, those post touches, being able to score out of the post. And Atlanta also just hasn't had a player that's 6'3" and can space the floor like that. That's going to bring value. She made 1 of 2 from 3 in game 1, but if she can take 2 to 3 attempts per game, that's going to really space things out, give Cheyenne Parker-Tyus more space on the block. So I think overall it'll be huge for Tina to be efficient. Efficiency has been a concern points in her career. Another thing, like I mentioned earlier, is just defense. How effective can she be on defense? If she's able to be an average defender, there was moments in game 1, if she's able to be like a solid defender, I think this front court could work. I'm not sure if this is a front court that goes deep in the playoffs, but it's certainly a front court that can win a lot of games in the regular season.
And, another huge offseason addition was Jordan Canada. You mentioned she didn't play Wednesday. Has a hand injury with kind of an unknown timeline. How did that impact Atlanta on Wednesday night, and what are they hoping she's able to do when she does come back, whenever that may be?
Yeah, so right now, and what it could be indicative of her status, or just maybe overreacting to what the trade was, they acquired Crystal Dangerfield for a third-round pick to add more depth at the point guard position. You could say, is this because Jordan Canada's injury is serious, or is it just because they wanted more depth at the guard spot? They needed depth anyway, but for right now, Crystal Dangerfield is going to provide a lot of value, has experience, doesn't turn the ball over, so I think the guard position's really solid right now. It's not exceptional. I think it's enough for right now until Jordan Canada gets back. But with Canada's game, the main value, like I said, is advantage creation, being able to get downhill. She led the league last season in pick and roll efficiency, And last season, Atlanta was the worst pick-and-roll offense. They don't really run pick-and-roll a lot, but that's something Canada excels in. So having that player, you can probably mix in pick-and-roll more, be able to just have a more dynamic offense. So, things are going smoothly.
And then the last major offseason acquisition that we wanted to talk about was Aerial Powers. She only played 12 minutes in that game against the Sparks. What do you expect her role to be this season, and what does the team hope she'll be able to contribute as well?
Yeah, the hope for Powers would be a microwave score. So I think what you notice with the 12-minute mark, I think her minutes are going to fluctuate by game. If she comes in, she makes a couple shots early, she'll probably play more minutes. But she's such a player that relies on rhythm. If she's out of a rhythm offensively, it's not going to be a great game for her. So if she's making shots, I believe there's some games she'll play 25-plus minutes. But like yesterday, she missed her first 3 shots, played 12 minutes. So overall, someone that can be aggressive on defense, pressure the ball, be able to play, defend two to three positions on the wing. That's what you're going to get with Aerial Powers if she's locked in. Whenever she's locked in, like we've seen in the past, providing value to a championship team with Washington, she can get there. It's just about the consistency for her.
And how does she work to find that consistency that's so important with games so close together so often this season?
Yeah, I think one thing for Powers is being able to, be okay not always taking the shot and being okay passing the shot up. Like, a lot of times she wants to make the big play rather than looking for the better play, if that makes sense. Settling for mid-range jumpers, taking contested shots at the rim. All of that is something she's done a lot of, and that's why, there were some games where in Minnesota she would be on the bench or not play at all because it was just so inconsistent. But I think there can be value with Aerial Powers' game if she's used correctly, and I believe Atlanta could be that spot just because of the culture, like we're seeing with Tina Charles. Being in an environment around people you are familiar with, people that you respect, I think will be really beneficial, not only to her but to the team.
And of these 3 off-season additions, only one played a significant role in that first game. As the season continues, how do you think the sum of the total off-season additions are going to be impacting the Dream as a whole?
Yeah, I think overall the off-season additions, Atlanta's going to rely a lot on, like I said, with Tina Charles. Will probably be playing over 28 minutes a game. She played 32 in Game 1. For Atlanta to go deep in the playoffs and make a run, you're going to need Jordan Canada back and healthy. Aerial Powers, if I had to guess, she would probably average around 15 minutes per game. If she played 12, I think she'll be a little bit over that from where she's at now. But I think overall, Atlanta's a team that brought back pretty much the exact same core as last year. Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, and they brought those 3 key all-star pieces back along with, their young pieces that are supporting casts. And then they brought in some free agents who aren't on long-term deals, so you aren't really tied up to them long-term, but you're looking for some more value in allowing you to win now. And that's what you're getting with both Canada, Charles, and Aerial Powers.
And then you touched on this in our last segment, but despite scoring 92 points yesterday, the Dream only scored 11 bench points last night. Are you expecting the bench to contribute more in future games, or are there any concerns about what would happen if the bench isn't consistently scoring in the future?
Yeah, Tanisha's someone that has always relied on her bench. I believe last season they used their bench more than anyone else. So that's something Atlanta does a lot. So I think Nia Coffey's much better than what she did yesterday. She's someone that I believe is one of the best defenders in the league. She had 4 fouls, so she was in foul trouble, only played 11 minutes. Crystal Dangerfield, you're going to get around 6 to 8 points, maybe 10 points some nights. Powers can go off some days. Hillman can probably score more than 2 points some days. I think Atlanta was having so much rhythm and a groove with their main players that they didn't really need to play their bench a ton of minutes. So for moving forward, though, I think the bench is important from a consistency standpoint. That's something they struggled with last year. They didn't have a lot of shooting on the bench, and I mean that's still probably a concern this year. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll wrap up today chatting about expectations for the Dream, what Hunter is most looking forward to this season, and more. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. So, Hunter, what else are you looking to see from the Dream in the next couple of weeks? I know that might be tough to answer because you don't know if Jordan Canada will come back during that period of time.
You said what are we expected to see in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, what are you looking to see, hoping to see out of Atlanta?
Yeah, I think a big thing and a valuable thing that Atlanta has is they don't really play a ton of contenders over this next stretch. Their next game they play Phoenix, and then they play Dallas, Minnesota, Washington, but they avoid playing New York or Las Vegas until the end of the month. So hopefully that's enough time to get Jordan Canada back. Hopefully for Atlanta. But I think over the next couple weeks it'll be huge just to build in the chemistry, getting Tina Charles acclimated to the offense, and as well as just continuing to get more reps for these young players. Haley Jones, Nas Hillman, Letitia Meir hopefully can get more minutes. Having these players more comfortable and confident. In Haley's case, she had the opportunity to play a lot of minutes at the end of last year as well with some injuries. So if she can play more minutes this year, continue to develop, so by the time Jordan's back, she's not playing as many minutes. She's comfortable, she's confident, and can make an impact.
Awesome. And again, as I've said throughout this game, I don't want any of the Atlanta fans to celebrate too much or panic in the other direction. But for all of those fans listening, what do you think is the floor, the ceiling, and maybe a realistic expectation for the team this season?
Yeah, the floor, I would say at the worst case scenario, Atlanta's probably an 8 or a 7 seed. There's a chance they're an 8 seed. I would say there's a chance for an 8 seed if Jordan Canada's out the entire year and they don't see a massive impact from Tina Charles from an efficiency standpoint over the whole year. The front court defense is a major question. The bench, just not much shooting on the bench. If all of that happens, they can probably still make the playoffs just because they have so much scoring talent. But that's probably their floor. The ceiling, I would say the ceiling is probably a 3 or a 4 seed. I would lean 4 seed, but if the highest of outcomes happened, I could see them getting to the 3 seed. That would probably take Ryan Howard being like a top 5 MVP candidate, which I don't think is going to happen this year, but that would probably be the ceiling, the ultimate goal. Doesn't happen, you'd probably also need like Tina Charles to be an all-star again. All of this is unlikely to happen, but then realistic outcomes somewhere in the middle, probably a 5, 6, 4 seed. If you're a 4 seed for Atlanta, that's improvement. You're a 5 seed last year, you're hosting a playoff series. I would say getting into that range is probably where I would expect Atlanta to be in like a couple months.
Awesome. Well, a lot of games left to play. What are some matchups or games that you think our listeners should put on their calendars, whether it's, coming up soon or maybe in August or September?
Yeah, a major thing that I know Dream fans are excited about is Caitlin Clark comes and plays again in Atlanta next month in June, on June 13th. No, it's not June 13th. June 21st, June 13th in Indiana. But that game will be moved to State Farm Arena, so they won't be playing in their extremely small arena. That's something that's exciting as well. I would say just, how does Atlanta face, or how do they play against New York, Las Vegas, and Seattle? Atlanta really struggled last year against New York and Las Vegas. I don't think they beat Las Vegas once. They might have beat New York once, I believe. So how they face those teams, how they can compete, will be extremely huge for assessing how this team is long term.
And then lastly, what are you looking forward to most about this season?
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to most, I would just say where Rhyne Howard's game continues to go. She is one of the best scorers in the game, one of the best shooters in the game, one of the best young players in the game overall. So I want to see what type of jump she takes as a finisher, the defense as well. She's already a good defender. Can she become a great wing defender? And for Atlanta long term, I think they hope that Rhyne Howard is the face of the team. She's the number one on a championship team. So continuing to develop towards that path is probably the most exciting thing to watch this year for Atlanta.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today, Hunter. Where can the listeners find you online?
Yeah, I'm on X/Twitter at Hunter Cruse 14. Also have a bunch of written work on the WNBA draft, international scouting, the dream, at thenexthoops.com. So a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, and if you want to know anything about any international players, that might be coming up in the WNBA draft, Hunter is your person. The only reason I know anything about international prospects in the WNBA is Hunter. And thanks to our listeners for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day, the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. And make sure to tune in tomorrow to hear from Hunter and Em, who appeared earlier, and Lincoln tomorrow for our Saturday WNBA draft content.